Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Jason Hardy with EliteBBQ and today this barbecue roundtable. We got an awesome group guest lined up. I can't talk. Awesome guest lined up, and we're gonna be talking all kind of things about the SCA today. Got some state contests, and this guy scored a perfect score. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So make sure you like, subscribe, share this post on Facebook and YouTube. If you got any comments, leave it in the comment section down below, and we'll see if we can address your comments as they come in the best we can. All that being stated, we're getting ready to get started. Y'all ready? Let's get started. All right, gentlemen, introduce yourself. Mr. Raz, you go first.
Hey, Raz Braz. Actually, officially, the real name is Mark Brazo, but I've been known as Raz for a while, so easy 3 letters. Richmond, Virginia.
Show, sir.
There you go, buddy.
All right, Justin. Introduce yourself. You go.
Justin Holt, Charlotte, and
Hollis Holt.
Kids Q Master.
Yep.
Now, before we go any further here, we got to first address the big man that's won his golden ticket this weekend. So, you ready to talk about it, Mr. Hollis?
Yeah, I won a golden ticket.
No, you didn't get a golden ticket. No golden tickets for Kids Q.
Oh,
although that's something we should talk about, and I've kind of suggested to Ken and the SCA team is that World should definitely have a kids division as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Hollis had
because if it was a kids, then it would probably be a huge kids one, and you would have a lot of competition.
Yep, I agree.
Well,
but yeah, tell them what you cooked this weekend.
So I cooked a hot dog this weekend, and it had pimento cheese, coleslaw, chili, some ketchup and mustard.
And bacon.
Oh, and bacon. Sorry.
I got a picture right here to share. Hold on a minute. Let's see if we can share this. We got to share this right now. Is that it?
Hollis, that thing was a serious bite, buddy.
I don't see it, Jason.
Oh, y'all can't see it?
Nope.
Wait a minute. Let's try this one.
David,
see it now?
That's it.
Sorry,
That's it right there, ain't it?
That's him. Yep.
Sorry, it's kind of blurry.
Hey, man, it works. You got the focus on you. The rest of it's blurry. That just makes it more focus on you there. So tell us what you're doing right here.
You remember what part you were putting on right there?
Those were bacons. Bacon slices, I think.
Yep.
That is awesome, buddy. And so now this was your hot dog now where'd you finish that in the hot dog?
I was that part was when I was putting.
He wants to know how did you place?
Oh, I got first place.
Sweet. That is awesome. And
there was only 3 people, so everyone would get one of these cool hats in the middle.
Tell them who made the hats.
Raz Braz made these hats.
Awesome deal.
Yep.
First place. Got the Pico logo up here, and Raz said it's like 40,000 stitches or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Got the Clay Lodge on the back. Then Sean Joe's website on the back there.
Yep.
And it fits.
And Hollis, remember your dad is not allowed to borrow that hat from you. It's yours, buddy.
I've already checked to see if it adjusts to my fat head, and it looks like
it does.
Show up your middle.
I don't know if you know, but when we were coming down to do this, on the way down, when we were about to start heading down, it's just the metal, that gold part just fell off.
Yep, but we fixed it, right?
Yeah.
But it was nice first place medal there.
Yep.
And tell them how much money you came home with.
I came home with $100. Dad.
Did you now?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Did you buy gas on the way home?
No, but I did make him buy a Hot Wheel. We stopped at a grocery store, and he saw a Hot Wheel, and I got up to the register, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute. You've got your own money." He said, "Yeah, but if I spend it, I won't have $100 bill anymore." And I said, "Yeah,
I like money."
Yep, you do like the money.
Money.
He did a great job, though. I have to really hand it to him that he did every portion of everything on the dog aside from starting the grill. I started the grill and I put the charcoal in there. After that, it was full Hollis show.
Yep.
Got the buns
That's
ready,
awesome.
turned all the dogs, put them on, took them off, put them in the buns, put all the toppings on it. I just kind of showed him, where I thought he should put them. And then, the other thing I did, I put them in the box so that they didn't break. That's the only other thing that I helped with. But other than that, it was 100% Hollis Holt day, right?
Yeah.
I was real proud of it.
So, Hollis, so tell me this: what's your favorite thing to grill?
Probably the steaks.
You like cooking the steaks the best?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times
They're the most fun.
Lately, I haven't been doing the practice steak, and we don't end up going home with the steak because he makes me cook them, and then they go in his belly. He is a steak-destroying machine.
Yum, 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 yum.
He will eat it up, man.
Yep. Here's a whole steak. And then I cut it up, and it.
After Almost Heaven, we went out to dinner at some restaurant there in the town in West Virginia.
There was a steak. I made a steak like this big.
He ordered like a 14-ounce steak, and he literally ate the entire thing. And I was like, man, where did that steak go?
I told him I was starving.
Yep, and he really did eat the whole thing. I was like, are you going to eat that big of a steak?
Yes. Got your growth spurt going on, don't you, buddy?
Yeah, he does have a growth spurt for sure.
Well, good job. You
did really good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to talk to Mr. Ken and Mr. Brett about having a kids division at the Worlds.
And then if they do that this year, then they'll have to make some custom gold tickets for the kids that have gone first place so far.
We will have to have a talk with them and see if next year they can get that going.
Because that would be a great kids queue, because some kids queues is only like 2 people or something.
Yep.
And the other ones have like 10 or 15 people.
And I got to say too that we really enjoy that part of SCA. You see kids in KCBS as well, but there's just not as many kids queue events at KCBS contest, but we do see them a lot more in the SCA. And, I've said this before, it's a little different that there's not many trailers and we're not really cooped up in our big RVs. Everybody's under a pop-up. Like this weekend at the second day in the parking lot of the grocery store at Food City for the Tennessee Triple, nobody had walls up on their tents or anything. It was just, you could look down and see straight through everybody's tent, so everybody was talking and, conversing with each other and everything. So that's always really good.
Rehydration process.
With, the kids and the family being a part of each of the team's cooks. So hats off to SCA and hats off to Raz for really stepping up and making a good Kids Q event this past weekend.
That's awesome. Congratulations, everybody. That was a lot of fun.
All right, we're going to hang out for a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, just listen.
All right, so Mr. Raz, so before we get into your success this past weekend, and one of the things you've done, which was kind of a rare thing for what I understand. Again, I am not an SCA cook. I have not done a lot, so I'm speaking to somebody outside looking in, but it is a very rare one for everybody's telling me that. But before we get to that point, let's get kind of a backstory of how you got into cooking. Like, did you grow up cooking, hunting clubs and stuff like I did, or kind of what was your background in cooking?
So I kind of thought about that, and not to get deep and sappy, but what makes people passionate and crazy about doing it? And really, it was 3 answers. It was my grandma, it was my stepmom, and restaurants. So growing up, my parents divorced when I was young. We moved in with my grandma. It was up in northern Canada. And it was one of those big old French families where aunts and uncles were living next to each other. And every Sunday was Thanksgiving. Every single Sunday, we'd have 20, 30 people at the house. And here's little old granny, 4'10", 4'11". Weak as everything, and she was a monster beast cook. And kind of like us, man, when it's cooking time, she got that adrenaline, and she would make you cook up her pot roast and her chicken and her hams and her beans. Probably had 3 spices in there. I think it was salt, pepper, and allspice. That was it. But she cook up, right? Which is good. I mean, that's what they did back then, right? And the part that got me, my snippet on that, was that this old lady would put it out there, and what she would do, she would sit at the table and watch us eat, and I swear she would smile through her heart. And man, her eyes were glowing, just going. Her happiness was having people enjoy her food. And that little snippet never left me. And that's something that's always been out there. I love to serve. I love to be there to do that. When somebody takes a bite of your food and it makes them smile, dude, that's a golden ticket right there. So that was one. Moved to the States in 72, thank goodness. And my dad had basically married a nice little Louisiana girl. So she had some good Cajun roots. And she wasn't a really great cook, but she grew up around Cajun food. And her thing is, she'd screw up a lot, but she'd go back and she'd learn. And she'd learn, and she'd learn. And she had so many darn spices. I went from knowing 3 spices to dealing with both blackening stuff and Cajun and cayenne and garlic and onions. And she had a whole seasoning wall. So from there, I just learned how to experiment, and it was okay to fail because that's how you get better. Right? It doesn't always have to be the same pot roast every Wednesday and the same chicken every Thursday, right? Then when I was about 14 years old, so all this time I would always cook. I was like with my grandma, I would cook during the week while she would rest. With my stepmom, I'd help close up the dinners. And then when I was about 14, because back in those days you could actually work at that age, good old child labor, as long as you had your little slips from school. I was a busboy at Holiday Inn that had a big old restaurant. And one Saturday night, some line cook called in. The manager was freaking out because that restaurant was packed and asked if everybody could cook. And I don't think I was quite 15 yet. I stepped up, I can cook. So they put me behind the kitchen to run the line. And actually, I kind of kicked some butt. That was it. That was my last night as being a busboy. Oh. From that point on, little Raz was behind that kitchen working the line. By the time I was 19, I was now managing the back of the house, steakhouse, with a bunch of folks. But I was in charge of the kitchen, the prep, running it. When it's showtime, I managed the grill. And this is back in the days when you measured steaks with this. We didn't have thermometers. And if you had more than 2 or 3 steaks come back, you were getting whooped up that you didn't have a good night. So that was good stuff. So I did restaurants for, 5, 6, 7 years, and finally got out of it. But I never stopped having the joy of cooking. So like you're talking about the show, a lot of people are into grilling. I got into grilling, right? So I got to be a grill master, as I thought, cooking in the backyard and get that chicken, get those burgers. And I wrote this down about 2009-ish. I'm trying to do ribs on charcoal indirect. I got good enough to do ribs, backyard style of some normal cook. My brother said, here's what I'm gonna do for Christmas time. We'll go half in a smoker. And I got my first 22-inch WSM.
Awesome.
And that was it. That was it. History from that point on went, dude, I'm into this. My buddy and I started smoking, and we got into the whole, which a lot of us do this, we got into the whole, church fundraisers. Within about a year or two, we've got at one point we had 5 smokers one year. I think we had 4 WSMs, 18s and 22s, and some big old grill that kind of looked like a smoker we converted. And my buddy and I are basically cooking. I think it was like 55 butts managing 5 things of fire. And dude, that was a blast.
That's awesome.
So at that point, which was about 2012, I decided that I wanted to really learn how to do competition. And I looked around, and Myron was around, and there was a lot of big cooks across the country. Everybody was booked up. And there was a pit master, and Justin, I don't know how long you've been cooking, or Jason. John Atkins was out of Fluvanna with Pigs on the Run. He had a class, and I paid my $300-400 for an all-day tell-all class. Went up there, and Teresa Bill might be listening from Big Dog's Barbecue. Was on that 20-person list, and we basically learned how to cook barbecue.
Wow.
And the whole time I was the kid in class that you had to bring back on. So he'd be teaching something, and I'm basically going back to where the guys are. Excuse me, I got a stupid cat that needs to get some food, or she's going to climb up and bite me. I would go up, dude, it's reality. I would go back there and start talking to the guys about fire management, ask them questions. He'd go like, do we come back over here? So at the end of the contest, he said, do you want to join me for a contest? I went, really? So I joined the Chesapeake contest back in 2012, and I got the bug. First year I was the new guy, right? Remember the new guy?
Oh, yeah.
And I did whatever it needed. Dishes. I was just happy just to hold the bottle of rub, and that was like a privilege, Second year, I was the pit, and really I was helping all the cooks. And I tell you what, that part of when you're a barbecue cook and you're involved with, because you would have some cooks, you'd have somebody doing chicken, he'd do the brisket and the butts, and somebody else is doing the ribs. But I was helping all three people. And after you learn everybody else's piece, where the chicken guy knows how to do chicken. So by the third year, I'm now doing butts, and then by the fourth year, I'm teaching class and also doing briskets. So I got into that for probably about 7 years or so, till 2019, the famous year of COVID hitting, where everything became a stalemate, right?
Uh-huh.
And right that summer, John Atkins, great dude, decided to retire, and I'm going like, what am I going to do? Because for this time, I've been on his team. I've never been on my own team. So my buddy and I formed our own barbecue team called Hog and All. Great name. I got a great logo, and it never competed because of COVID. So
Really?
2019, I started looking online and found the SCA like you, Jason, not really knowing what it was. It looked cool. It'd been around for a while. And people are cooking ribeye steaks, but it's still competition, and it's still going on. So I YouTube figured it out, reached out to Angel Todd, who's one of the reps out there, who I think she was 18 and she just won her golden ticket. I had like a little Weber, and I saw she used a Weber, so I wanted to just see if I can compete with just a Weber grill. And like I could. So I made it down to what am I blanking out? I made it down to my first competition, and it'll come to me. And that was it. And right around, they're trying to figure out COVID, and right around, I want to say about May or June of that next year, 2020, SCA figured out, if you guys remember, how to actually do tournaments, masks and all, and distances, and how to work the line. At this point, KCBS is still kind of closed off for business. So I think 2020 was such a pivotal year for SCA that us competitors that needed that fix got into SCA and then found out how cool it was. So I've been competing in SCA since really 2020 was really the start of it.
So I think that's kind of probably one of the things that with the Rufus T was going on with the little local contest we had down here. That's probably might be one of the reasons why the SCA hadn't really. I'm not saying they don't have contests here, but they don't have them like they do in other parts of the country. And I think maybe it was the fact is that there was still contests going on, like you said, that we were still going out there hanging out doing contests together in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia area, still be able to keep doing them that way because we just want to hang out with people. That's the whole reason we want to do it, just get out there and hang out and have a good time. I mean, because I get it, COVID is a big deal, and I'm not taking anything light about it because it's still a big deal. But I reckon we hard-headed enough or stubborn enough. Let's just go out here and just.
The show has to go on, right?
I am hard-headed enough and stubborn enough.
Money. Got money to burn. Somebody let me burn it.
Dude, smoke will kill everything. I swear it will.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a learning curve, and we've said this on the show in the past about just during that time of how the flavors changed because the judges changed in KCBS, and it was just. I mean, it took everybody kind of a learning curve to go through that process. But the SCA, like I said, I don't know why I've never done them other than it's probably the reason every time they have one that I can go do, there's a KCBS that weekend, and therefore I'm going to do KCBS because that's just my comfort zone right now. And we've done the SCAs. Well,
I keep telling Jason.
Do both. Do both.
Jason, are you doing Wise, Virginia?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna pay for your entry on Friday night for an SCA.
Watch him get a gold ticket, Justin.
No, man. I could a steak contest.
I'll provide your grill, all the rubs.
I'll do the Blackstone.
Oh, he's gonna come in with a sear.
There you go. Don't fear the sear.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a Wagyu Denver steak. I'm gonna cook on a Blackstone tomorrow, or actually day after tomorrow. Tomorrow's Michelle's birthday. Everybody on here, make sure tomorrow you bombard Michelle on Facebook with her birthday. Say happy birthday to her. So tomorrow is her birthday. But so I've got a Wagyu Denver steak. I'm gonna cook on the Blackstone and play around with it. But I'm going to do an SCA. But I've kind of got to get with Justin. I got to get into the whole mindset of what it is, because I've played around with the contest that we've had at the KCBS contest, and I'm like, all right, I'm just donating money to the cause. Totally.
Oh, you've been surprised though. A couple weeks ago, the one that we had in Rutherford College was a double, and one of the steaks was won by a guy who it was his first SCA contest. One of the country boys from Eastern North Carolina. Now, granted, that's a good crew to be around to kind of learn your way into steak, but that was his first contest, and he got a pretty high score.
Justin, I've seen a lot of people, first time cooks, that were not piggybacking with people on the team that are just backyard getting walks. Now, you may not get it all the time, but you can actually get out there the very first time and get lucky enough to really cook a great steak and lucky enough to get that table. So many times, first time cooks, and sure enough, they're getting a walk.
Yeah, we got one.
Jason Singletary
in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and I had to do the triple take at my ticket. And Hollis was like, "That's our number." It was 10th place, but I'll take it all day. And I was like, "Whoa, we just got to walk on our first steak contest we ever did."
Well, so far I've got Teresa right here saying that Justin's calling me out.
There you go.
I'll be at Wise.
I'm telling you, man. I got a PK. It's got grill grates. It's got your name engraved on the top of it. And
Mark saying throwing a gas card.
Lord have mercy. In, dude. You're in. I'm gonna go sign you up in a little bit after.
Teresa Bell, I love you.
Yeah.
I'll provide your rubs. I'll even bring a stick of butter for you, and we'll get you a walk, man.
Oh, we got the first angry face here.
What I like about the SCA too, Jason, is the fix. I mean, it's kind of like it's again, you said it, the fellowship is there. And that to me, it's the same thing. The hanging out piece with barbecue, it's a little bit different. It's that whole Friday night, after you got your stuff kind of prepped up, you're getting ready to put your brisket in. And then also I was always managing the fire. So, John be sleeping and snoring, and, I'm the guy walking and making sure that thing doesn't go below whatever number he wants, was 265, 255, whatever number. But you got all that time until about 5, 6 in the morning. And that to me, was always one of the fun parts of barbecuing, that fellowship, right?
Yeah.
And you get that with FCA.
Yep.
You still got the whole timeline, you got the competition, you got the pressure, you got the skills. And face it, you still like winning, so it's still you still got the awards and the trophies. You really kind of get the fix of barbecue. But what's really cool for me, especially with work and stuff like that, is it's a one-day thing. You theoretically can drive up 8 o'clock in the morning, not have tons of trailers to do, of stuff to load and unload, produce some good meat, do some ancillaries, have the awards at 5 o'clock. By 6:30, you're back on the road going home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's the part that's hard to not give up sometimes.
And from the YouTube perspective and the social media on there, that's one of our next goals, is kind of play into that side of it a little bit from that, because I do want to do some, and I'm not saying I don't want to do some. And what I really need to do is, like you were saying, is do some contests that's not necessarily tied to a KCBS contest. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just because I can be focused on that. And when I go to a KCBS contest, my focus is on that contest.
Yeah, true.
And I would love to do some SCAs before I can stay focused on that but there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that I need to learn, tricks of the trade in a sense. And that's one of the things here that I really just surprised by this conversation I had with Justin and some other people on SCA is just how much work of art y'all make that steak look. And I think that's something other that from somebody that doesn't do that and I would consider myself a steak guy, more of a backyard steak guy. That is an intimidating thing to see those pictures, but it's just like anything else. It's just something that you're going to have to go out there and figure out how to do, because you can put skewers in, wrap it in a string or whatever you're going to do. I remember I done a contest in Somerville whenever I done one of the first or second steak contests, and I was like, I'm going to keep this thing round. So I bought one of those big round stainless steel pipe rings. Bought 2 of them.
Heck yeah. I know where you're going with it.
And I had that thing tightened up in there so I could put it on there and it'll just hold its place, hold its shape in there. And that sucker just decided to pop right out of there like a little slinky. So, and I done that, and then Singletary won that contest, and then he won the KCBS contest, and I was just like, we just never. I think the next one I done was the one there at in Georgia there at the Atlanta Barbecue Classic.
Yep.
Or the GBC when they had it a year. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but anyhow, we had a contest out there, and it was fun, and I enjoy it. But I would really, like you said, I'd like to get into one of these contests of the fellowships of just the steak guys, and just kind of get to know that side of it and get to know it into it. Because, like I said, it can. Yeah, I know it's got to be cheaper as far as just fuel mileage.
Well, it is, and even now, I got into ancillaries, and just because of having to go and focus on my steak, I kind of slowed down on ancillaries this year. But if you're mainly cooking steak, that whole week with barbecue of just prepping it's hard. I mean, it's a whole week thing, right? So you're spending the whole week of getting your chickens, getting your injections, getting your marinades, and then you're still cleaning up by Sunday night, and you're going back to work Monday just beat. I mean, it's a long week. And SCA is it's not cheating, but it's so much simpler in life of being able to show up. And again, the skill level, and you said it's a very intense skill level. It's a piece of meat this big. And honestly, when you get to this level and you got some of the best people in the world, if you make one mistake and you've got 5 judges giving you 5 scores of 10s, and sometimes if you get one judge giving you a 9, you're not getting a top 10. You're not going to get a top 10. You have to hit nothing but 10s, and now it's a race on the taste score. There's that intensity of just perfection, preciseness. I mean, we used to use knives. I mean, we're using surgical steel now, surgical knives, using scissors. It's almost like I'm doing plastic surgery right, Justin?
Yeah, you're exactly right.
It's intense, man. Your trimming is intense. It is like under a microscope.
Yep.
So there's definitely pressure, but it's a very quick hit of pressure, which is fun.
Yeah, and like I said, I appreciate it, and I definitely think it's got a lot of merit to it. And I've said this before that I think it's got SCA is something other that somebody can definitely get into, and it's like I said, got that fellowship to it. And just like KCBS, I mean, KCBS, you can get in whatever you put into it and get out of it. I'm assuming that SCA is the same way. If you want to go out to it and enjoy it and do it as a hobby, which is what it is, and you can do that, and you can be successful in some of it. And if you decide to chase points, then you'll be pulling your hair out your head trying to chase points.
Boy, you'll build up some frequent flyer miles.
Spend a lot of money.
You did a lot of money. Yeah, I think I heard like the Browns last year. I mean, they had over 100 contests, if I remember correctly. Now that's a lot of so I say 100. A little different in here.
Like 50 because of the doubles.
50, yeah, because a lot of them are going to be doubles, and then you'll have events like this past weekend where there's something on Friday and 2 on Saturday. So really, that's 3 cooks. That's not like going 3 KCBS contest. Although, some of
Yeah.
our crazy, Jason and I's crazy brethren will do a KCBS on Saturday and then drive, 8 hours somewhere to pick up the second end of a double over a 2-day weekend, which, no thanks.
Rolling doubles.
Yep, rolling doubles. But yeah, I mean, even at that point, that's almost every weekend of the year, aside from Thanksgiving and Christmas, and SCA season starts up pretty early and it runs all the way to the end of the year. So, if you're really wanting to chase those
it's a long
points,
season.
You want to compete, man, it's a grind that is probably nothing like KCBS.
And Justin, you're right. You've in this sport, because you can do travel cooks. I mean, you got people that, we with the family. Sister Shauna's coming up from Louisiana in August to do a cook with Steve, and they're going to load up their suitcase of stuff, and then we're going to provide them, a grill, tables, canopy. So it's really easy when you're chasing points. Unlike barbecue, you can go from Carolina to California to Tennessee to Florida, and that's what people like the Browns and others are doing. They're chasing the entire country, not just focused on Eastern, Western. It's the whole country.
Yep.
Which gets pretty intense.
And I think that's, but again, getting to the point where it's just kind of the show is more geared towards somebody kind of encouraging getting in barbecue. You don't do that. That's whenever you get in there.
You don't.
You don't do that. There ain't but KCBS and SCA. There's probably ain't 10 teams between the two together that are chasing points like that, because I mean, most people got a full-time job and you just financially can't afford to do that.
Yep.
But again, you can go anywhere in the world and cook a contest, KCBS, and you can go anywhere in the country and cook an SCA contest. And then one of the big attractions of SCA is it's got the golden tickets going down there to Houston for what they have. So that's got so that's a really big thing. And what you were saying earlier about the SCA, about the season, and I truly think this is a mistake that KCBS made is and they done this years ago. They went to the end of the year and end of October. And what it done is the November contest basically killed the November contest. There's a few going on now as far as just doing it, but they don't get the draw that they were getting from the points guys at the end of the year. Now the local guys could come out, but I think that did, because I think at that time some guys just burn out. They just didn't succeed like they want to succeed, and they just, all right, we just want to take a break. Now you got some that have done good and they want to start the year off hot and heavy. So it's got some conversation both ways, but I like the end of the year going towards into maybe 1st of December, whatever, starting over in January. Or I don't know necessarily. We were trying to put one together because Stephanie, whatever, was trying to get me to put one together here in Myrtle Beach there at Christmas time, right at the end of the year last year. But it was just too short a notice to put anything together to help everybody out. But I'm not opposed to doing that. We've got a good location for that. I don't think we put KCBS there because it'd be too big of rigs, but for SCA, it would be a good one to do.
Yep.
And we were talking about doing some stuff like that in the future and see what happens. But again, before I do anything like that, I need to go out there and get my feet wet and at least see the contest.
Yep.
From a first-hand perspective. So if we go to do that, we actually know what we're doing. Because knowing what you're doing and putting together the contest is very important.
For sure.
Very, very important. All right. So we talked about kind of like your stories, kind of how you come up into it. And we kind of preluded to this. So, but before we get into the finish you had, yeah, I'm doing the wise.
Keep rolling, man.
I got you in now, baby. I got you in.
Wise. I may have to come up to y'all's house and take a class over before Wise.
Oh boy, you'd be walking quick then between the two of them.
Yeah.
See, the difference though is that they won't be able to tell you when to turn in your steak. Terry is literally standing there waiting for the window to open at the beginning of the hour.
2 minutes before.
30 seconds left, and she's just now dusting her steak, about to walk it up there. Just polar opposites on it. And then, second place, Terry, first place, Stephanie. You know, it's like, what in the world? Like, how could you be that different in your cooking? And then it's crazy.
It is.
So now, one quick question about this here. Number, they don't build boxes. When it goes in, it goes straight back, right? They don't build boxes like the KCBS.
Nope.
When it gets turned in, it goes straight to the table there.
Yep.
So
You get your little silver bottom on there. You just place it. But what's tricky is really the way the steak is placed. Is the bottom half is where they're going to judge the texture and the taste. So it's very strategic, and really you're looking at that's your bite. So you have to have five thumb bites, and that's your $1,000. That's really that little wrap around the steak. So you really have to know how to put that steak in that bottom half where the 5 bites are going to happen, and they're going to be judging that piece. And the very top, as they cut it in half, is going to be the grill marks and the doneness. So if somebody doesn't know exactly how to place that steak, there's no dressing, but you have to hit your angle where the cut line is, and that's what they do. However you put it in there, they do it. Cut it right down the middle, tasting and judging that texture, looking at it and looking at the doneness, and those are your points.
And it does not take long for them to roll down that table and
No,
cut and
it's
eat, and then move on to the next steak. It's real quick.
It is so quick.
You will not have it's real important because that rest period, you want that steak back there quick because, depending on if you've got a tri-heart or a spinalis, that thing could still be climbing. And, if you've turned it in done and then you got to wait, like if you're KCBS and you got to wait 10 minutes for it to go back to the table, I mean, you're done for at that point. So
and
it's pretty quick.
Justin backed me up on it. Like we have to hit a certain temperature, and it's got to be a perfect medium.
Yep.
And everybody's got a different number. It doesn't vary much, but my target number is probably about 1.5 degrees from high to low. And you gotta know your carryover, the temperature of the steak, your grates, the humidity. And if my steak, after taking it off the grill, resting for 3-4 minutes, what Justin is saying, getting to the judge, is more than that 1.5 degree variance, I don't feel like I'm going to have done this.
Yep. And that's a high part of the scoring criteria as well. Yeah.
And that's why that's why I do my one practice, right? My one practice is just to know how am I going to hit that 1.5 degree window of doneness.
And you do not have a big window when it comes to medium. If it's under, you're going to climb into medium too much. But if it's medium and going up a little bit, and that thing climbs out, you're done for.
That's it. They can't run on you.
No, it cannot. So yeah, it's almost a little bit more crucial when it comes to not only your cook strategy, but what you're planning to have happen after you take that, or when you leave your table to start walking that box up there, is equally as important as your cook is. Not for me, it's not as much in KCBS because, like Jason and I have said many times in other shows, kind of highly doubtful unless you're first there on the table and it's maybe chicken your meat's even going to be hot when it reaches the judges. In KCBS, it's probably going to be room temperature. That ain't really the case in SCA. Even with a big one, they just it's efficient. It's real efficient, and it just does not. There's no comment cards. They quick and move on to the next steak.
It's a fun stress, right? It is. It's a stress cook. There's a lot of stress.
And it's funny as you start to get in really serious in it, and you're looking at the humidity and how you're timing your walk up there, and you're
the temperatures of the judging room. They'll have a little temperature gauge to see the lights. Yeah. The lights in the room versus you try to match it somewhere in your canopy because that pink could be a certain temperature, but it's going to look different.
Yep.
And you're trying to match what that variance of degrees looks like. It really becomes a science test sometimes. It's not grilling so much as a science experiment.
One of the fun things I think with it too is that you have to kind of look at, and this is something I've been working on from last summer to now, is after it comes off the grate and you're getting it to temperature, is actually seeing how quickly it's moving from off the grate temperature to your target, because that's going to give you a good gauge as to, do I need to pull it a little bit early because that thing's going to carry quickly while it's in the box and when it gets to the judges. And it's something the backyard steak cook's never going to really think about, and it does vary from steak to steak, region to region, elevation to elevation, temperature outside, humidity, all of those things go into it. And there's a lot more science, I feel like, into it than KCBS.
But the cool thing is like you talk about the Stephanie and Terry West, and they've hit so many different regions, and just us. The more you cook, the more you experience, and you take notes, and then you just know it's like, A through Z. It comes up and go, okay, that's F, that's J. So you really just out of experience, kind of just it becomes automatic. They just know the 10, 15 steps of all the conditions that are going to make you get that turn-in where it needs to be.
Yep.
Listening to this, and again, I've said this, but I'm not a big SCA cook. Haven't done any consistency. But one of the things I've had people talk to me and other shows per se, or other on comments and stuff on YouTube and Facebook is the intimidation factor getting in competition barbecue. Mainly barbecue itself is not steak, and I've really just telling us to just got to go out there and just cook. You got to do it. You got to do it. Just you'll learn from it and do it. And I never really truly understood kind of the intimidation that they were getting. People kind of got from that until I started kind of hearing the conversation y'all having right now about how scientific it is and how small a window it is and stuff like that. So I really kind of got a better right now understanding of the intimidation, not from the cook teams and everything else, just from the product itself, because nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to fall short of a goal. Everybody wants to win a contest. And it's just the little things that kind of brings them up and over the top. So I think kind of, and I'm not going to say this per se in the SCA side of it, because again, I have very little knowledge, but I think from a KCBS side of it is listen to this and getting a better perspective, kind of what that conversation is. I would say just the biggest thing to do is go out there and for KCBS, come out there, talk with the teams, sign up to be a judge, understand what it takes to judge in KCBS. And again, I'll let y'all fill in on SCA, but I'm just going to talk about the barbecue side of it. But understand that process of what they're looking for. And then you can kind of get into competing barbecue, and then you can understand the nuances of how to do the barbecue to compete, because you know at the back end of what the finished product is. Now, that's what I would suggest to do that to basically save yourself some headache and to kind of eliminate intimidation, is to go out there and volunteer, judge a contest, be part of it from the back end, and then kind of get on the front end and do the competition side of it. But with that being stated, how would y'all address that type of situation in SCA?
Well, I'll contradict myself just because it's fun to do that. And I'll remember a moment, and then I'll get the reason why I'm contradicting. We were at the Worlds a couple of years ago, and Tiffany, one of the cooks, and I, it was our first time at the Worlds, and we're looking at each other, and we're all stressed out. It's like it's the Worlds. There's all these different things, and I looked at her and said, you know what? It's just a steak. That's all it is. So a lot of times, really, it's like I'm almost scaring you with all these different things because we create our own beast of all these perfections, and you have to kind of know it. But even like this last weekend of getting that steak, not knowing what I was going to do with it, I was really focused, not distracted, and I really just focused on cooking a steak. That's all it is. I'm in a parking lot, I'm cooking a steak, and that's all it is. And that's why so many times for first-time cooks, they do well because they just cook a steak. They don't overthink it. They don't get all this science. They don't have that degree and a half area. They're just cooking a steak and they get lucky. But you know what? That factor of them just being chill is really the part that you got to remember. So, and that's my advice. Yeah, my advice for first-time cooks that have never done it, because really a lot of us either were experienced, barbecue guys or good at the grill, is really, you just have to just sign up for a contest and just show up and just do it. Just my first contest, which was Edgewater, by the way, my mind got clear there. I was bottom third. I learned a lot. And like we're saying in the beginning, we share, and everybody will share. They're going to help you so much. You show up, You don't know what you're doing. Everybody's going to show you little tips and guide you and help you. And that's how you get in there. Don't overthink it. Just go out there, bring your Weber, bring whatever you got, bring your flat top if you want. Jason know to make fun of you. They'll look at you, but they won't make fun of you. They'll still love you on it. And just cook a steak and just cook a steak. That's it. With barbecue, you have to have some skills. I mean, it's not easy to never have done barbecue and also do ribs and butts and chicken and brisket. You can't just do that, right? You won't survive. But you can cook a steak and get lucky or just learn from it. And every time you do it, you get better, you learn more, and then you get to Justin and I's level to where everything's a science and we overthink it. And then we have to remind ourselves to go back in time and go like, dude, just chill out, just cook the damn steak.
Yeah, we had a new cook first time. He lived in like 5 minutes up the road from Churchill, where Friday nights first part of the Tennessee Triple was. And he was like, I borrowed this grill from somebody up the street. I watched some YouTube videos, and I said, dude, I am 2 tenths over from you. You ask me anything you want to. I am happy. You need anything, I got you right here. So he had me look at his trim. I showed him a couple things that I would have changed, but it was like, you're pretty well spot on. You know, I said, just make sure you write down your timeline. Be ready to adjust if you need to. Give yourself a little window, you know, because you've got 30 minutes to turn it in. You know, I think he was probably in the bottom third. And saw him, you know, after the contest. He said, man, that was so much fun. He said, I'm getting my buddy. We're coming down to Johnson City tomorrow, and I'm doing both steaks tomorrow. And sure enough, he was right across from us. And he said, I was 27th last night. I'll be happy if I am 27th today. He said, if I don't do worse than I did last night, that's a total success. And I didn't see how he did, but his steak looked really good, and his practice steak tasted great. And I said, you're on the right track, man. I said, you just keep on pumping on it, man. Watch as much YouTube as you can. Pointed him to Barbecue Champs Academy. I said, there's really good steak lessons on there. They're pretty affordable. You can watch them anytime you need to. I said, anybody out here, you just ask them, and they're going to probably tell you a different way to do it. But, you know, that's how you gather all of your information together. And
you take the bits that fit you. And you're right, Jason. I mean, I think most of us YouTube the very first thing. I looked at Johnny Joseph and Cosmo and a couple others, and I had enough knowledge to be dangerous, not to totally screw it up, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then later on, I took a Barbecue Champs Academy class for $180 and did another one. And then at that point, I wanted to really refine the stuff. But as we talked about in the back stage there, Jason, just having both worlds. Again, I'm saying this with respect because I love barbecue. That I think the difference for a newbie is the shake to the share, right? Is that in barbecue, I got really good at shigging. I mean, that John taught me how to go from 10 to 10, shig and look and take notes and try to figure out what somebody else was doing. Where, you know, some of my buddies like, okay, Raz, you're shigging. Like, I'm not shigging. It's like, dude, I'll tell you as much as I know that gives. We truly will share almost everything that we do. We'll even tell you the rubs we do. We're not going to tell you how we layer it, but we'll show you every single step of the process. You still got to beat us out doing it. But I think our focus really with new people is to get them up to speed, to want to come back and be competent. And then they get to do that again. So it's really the family and the sharing part to get you up is even more intense. And I think personally doing both just even a little bit higher than barbecue. So you can really get up there. Really, there's not many secrets.
That guy this weekend, I guarantee you he will do more SCA contests. You know, and if he gets good at it, maybe he picks up, you know, hey, I could go and do chicken and ribs at a KCBS, you know, and now you got somebody else involved in KCBS and moving into the sport.
And we haven't even talked about ancillaries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, ancillary is a whole different thing. I mean, that's
one of the coolest things, I think.
It is, you know.
I'm a big maker. Like, I like being creative And I'll fully admit there ain't much creativity in KCBS. we're all turning in about the same kind of barbecue, So that's one of the things that I really enjoy in SCA as much. Although I didn't do any ancillaries this weekend. Admittedly, it rained the whole way out there. I had to pile a bunch of stuff in my truck that normally would have been in the bed, charcoal and the cooker and all that. And I was like, I'm glad I ain't doing ancillaries because I ain't got no room for any more equipment inside this truck. There's no way I could squeeze anything else in here. But that adds to the intensity of one of those cooks. Saturday was 2 ancillaries and 2 steaks, and most teams did all 4 of those. And boy, you talk about, if you think that 3-hour period from 11 to 1:30 at a KCBS contest is busy, come do 2 ancillaries and 2 steaks from steak selection to turn-ins at an SCA contest, and you'll be just as tired. I guarantee you.
And then do hot dogs in the middle, right?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about.
But with ancillaries, here's a cool thing: is a first timer. Let's say it's strawberries, like it was in Lancaster a few weeks ago. Literally, if somebody's got a good strawberry pie, they could spend $25, drive up to the firehouse, enter a contest, get a gold ticket. Here's little Grammy making her strawberry pie. She figured out making 6 little chunks, and she gets a gold ticket. And here's Grammy that's never competed, spent $25. She'll pay the $40 to join the SCA right after, make it count. And she's going to Texas next year.
Yep.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, I want to kind of one thing you're talking about as far as helping teams out, and I think that since COVID, KCBS in a sense has come a lot better at helping new teams out and cooking. Bring them out there. We're doing that this past weekend. There's some new teams out there, and every pro team out there is helping them, because the fact of the matter is this, and we need more people come out there cooking competition food, competition steak, competition barbecue. We need more, because if we don't get more, then we're going to be basically just not being able to grow the sport. You can't have more contests. You're not going to be able to do that. So there's got to be more people in there. So, and I think everybody in KCBS has come out there today, and I'm assuming SCA, from what y'all talking the same way. You'll come out there tomorrow. They're willing to help you do better, willing to help you be competitive, because we want you to come cook. We don't. And unless you ever done a KCBS or SCA cook-off, it's not going to make sense what I'm about to say. But if you come out there and you win, we are just as happy as you win as if we win.
Oh,
financially, we're more happy if we win.
Yeah.
We're financially more happy that we win, but we're still not going to be any less grateful and gratitude if you come out there and win a contest. Well, I want you to do good.
I'm just as happy to see Jason and Raz walk to that stage as I am to walk up there myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that's
that
fun.
Makes no sense, and it makes no sense in any other competition sports there is out there. I know it's crazy, but when you're doing this game, for whatever reason, it's a family affair, and it's like your little brother beat you. You're mad about it that you got to beat, but at the same time is you proud for him to go get that trophy. My little brother didn't beat me in anything, so I'm just going to say that. Except for playing the guitar. I can't do that. He wins every time. He's probably watching. Yes, I'm sorry, Brian. But that's the thing about it is, and I think that's kind of where the COVID, and I think what happened, what really started this off was, and again, SCA, I don't know the details about it, but Barbecue Academy, barbecue, whatever y'all called that earlier.
Barbecue Champs Academy.
The Barbecue League website, and YouTube, because you got people all of a sudden they couldn't go out and compete that much, and therefore they just really want to cook. And they started YouTube channels. They started doing the Barbecue Academy. They started doing the Champ League, whatever it is, and the Barbecue League. All this stuff right here. So you come out there and cook today, whatever you want to cook, KCBS, SCA, and you have opportunity right now to eliminate 5 years of training and be out there and be competitive. We said this on the show many times, and it is God's honest truth that there's so much out there for them to be able to come out there and do it. So if you intimidation, like I was talking about earlier, I understand where you're coming from, but there's a lot of information out there that you'll be able to come out there and take it and practice at home and be competitive. And one of the hardest things about KCBS, it's not cooking chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket. You'll learn that part. The hardest part about it is cook them all at the same time.
Yeah,
learning that management. Learning that time management, learning that is. And what you're talking about with the ancillaries and the steaks and the SCA, it's the same thing. The hardest thing is to learn the time management.
Yep, time management is super important.
And that was one of the big things. Go for it.
And one of the other things is what you have to also learn is how to stay focused. You have to stay focused. Like whenever you say, okay, I'm cooking a steak, and somebody come here and offer you a beer, then you might be like, not right now. I have to focus on this. And that's one of the hardest things to do because you don't want to be unkind. Can't think the right disrespectful, whatever. But at the same time is you got a task to do. It don't take 8 minutes to cook a steak from start to finish. Is that
10 to 15?
Yeah, 10 to 15
minutes. See, I don't do steak contests. On mine's backyard style on a Blackstone.
Exactly.
Yep, medium rare.
I do cook a good steak, so watch my videos. You can see I cook a good steak. Now, mine that I cook at home.
You want to see the steak you're going to cook at Wise, man. It's going to be killer. Perfect medium. Nice round hockey puck.
Gold ticket. Boom.
I'm going to give him somebody a camera and we'll film the whole thing.
What I was going to say, Jason, one of the things I really got out of barbecue that helped me in SCA is the discipline of the timelines. Right. So a lot of the backyards don't understand the timelines, and some of these timelines for me are like within 10-minute increments. But right, like 10 minutes, marinade maybe 3, 5, 6 minutes. But you learn from competition barbecue just the discipline, as you're saying. There's times when you got that crunch time of from one to the other, you got to laser focus, and then boom, the next step. So I think when you've competed in a sport like that, when you go to another sport, you've got the professional level of just that management, which is to your point, ideal. You have to know how to get from that one timeline to the other timeline, because again, those windows are 30 minutes. You miss it by a minute, you're disqualified. You got to hit it.
Yep. You got to hit the window in there. So it is. But now we've been the whole show talked about one of the main points out here is your steak and how you done this past weekend.
I did okay. It was a good steak. We had fun.
All right.
So
fishing here, I reckon.
So here's the funny thing and the good thing is I've done a lot less comps this year because of just personal stuff and work. So to your points, when we talked about point chasing, I'm not in a situation this year where I'm gonna grab points. So I really had to get gold tickets. I already got my gold ticket ancillary, first contest of the year. So really my stress factor is I needed to get a gold ticket for steaks with only the few I got left. So I really went into Tennessee just to get back in rhythm because I'd really not been walking this year, and I had to go back to just cooking a steak. So I went backwards in time 2 years ago, go back to basics, go back to my process that got me to the Worlds that 1 year, and I kind of started over. And my goal in Tennessee was to get it, like Jason said, a top 10. If I was going to get a walk, I was going to be happy.
Yeah,
I was good for a 10. I was great for 9. I was great for an 8. And one of the scary things that happens when you cook a steak is every time you think you do a great steak, you come in last. Don't ever think you did a great steak. How was your steak? You don't even want to say how you think, because if you think you did good, dude, you're in the bottom third. And the times that you think you did a bad job, you're getting a walk. And I thought I cooked a good steak. It looked good. I was relaxed. I was chill. Again, you get 10s on every single component, and then with taste, you can get up to 10.9. So that's where you can get a 254.5. And I think about 10 years of scores, I want to say it's happened about 12 different times. It's happened a few times in the last couple of years, but you don't really see perfect scores that often. It's never happened in Tennessee. So Friday night, they're calling the scores. I felt good about my steak. I don't want to tell anybody because then my mojo, my jinx would come in. So I kind of shut up that I thought my steak was good. They call the scores. Stephanie, who's on, I think she got her walk. Miller got his walk. By that point, I'm seeing the people there. I've been hot all year. I honestly put my ticket down after the 5th walk, thinking I'm already focused, Justin, on Saturday. Like, dude, I'm done. What did I do wrong? I can't wait to go take a picture of the sheet. And then they announced the perfect score because it's never happened there. I'm not even paying attention. I'm in the front row, and it was my ticket. So I honestly just cooked a steak and I got a perfect score out of it. I'm blessed. I'm thankful for it. And I'm good. Now, I'll tell you, I was probably almost as happy when I got the 6th place the next day, because what you don't want to do is just say I got lucky and somehow I just did a perfect steak. Because to me, I need to get back in my rhythm.
Yeah.
I said, please give me at least a walk. At least I know what I'm doing is on the right track. And I got a 6th place. And I was probably just as tickled as that perfect script, because now I'm going, okay, now I'm back in rhythm. I've got the right process. I got the right flavors. I'm good again. So tickled to get the perfect score. I'm ecstatic that I got the gold ticket. I'm going back to Texas. Now the rest of the year is chill.
So now let me ask a question here, because Justin got something to show up here, but I got a question real quick. So you put your ticket down. Did you have your number memorized?
I knew kind of like the last numbers, which was 19, and they stopped, and the one came out, and they said the 9, but mentally, I'm not. I'm out. I already dismissed myself of being that. But like, already, I'm not going to get first place. A perfect steak, that's not happening. So even though I knew the number, I was already past today to tomorrow.
So I'm sitting here in my mind, I'm imagining this. You're sitting there, they call it perfect steak. You ain't, assuming you ain't got it. And they like, all right, did the person here actually turn it in? Are they still here? They go home or what? Because if you don't have your ticket, you're SOL.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that long because I was sitting there right by my phone. I went, shoot, was that a 9? Like, shoot, it was a 9. And so that's why there was a pause and like, dude, I got a perfect score. So I walked up there kind of speechless, like, this is awesome, you know? So huh?
You should have, it erupted. Like, we were so stoked. I jumped up. I was like, yeah, Raz, perfect score. That's so awesome. And it's Greg Cross is the rep, and he will get down to the last number and he'll call the first 3. And then he pauses. And everybody's on the seat just like, come on, Greg, give us the last number, you know. He's good at building the anticipation there. I was stoked for you, though.
Thank you, buddy.
You got something you want to show down there? Or
so let me also mention with Mark getting what did you get? You got 6th place on steak A or B? B. So if you could bring that up, Jason. If you've been to an SCA contest, you know of the famous Raz dogs. And so in between steaks, Mr. Braz here this time he unveiled something brand new, which was the Raz Burger sliders. How many did you cook?
66.
66. So in between cooking 2 steaks in a parking lot under a tent, this man, out of the goodness of his heart, will cook 66 sliders, which are phenomenal. And if you've ever had a Raz dog, you know that these burgers were phenomenal and totally free for everybody. So here he is manning a 36-inch from Greg, cooking his heart out here and making some kick-ass burgers that everybody at the whole place gets to come and get, and then they all go back to their places, and Mark's going to turn around and cook another steak that he gets a call on. So talk about SCA family. You're the king of it. Thank you again for feeding everybody.
And it doesn't make sense to do that. I mean, I question myself every time I do it. But the thing is, going back to the beginning of the story, that's the passion and the joy of just seeing people smile and do that. It's just, I'll never stop it just because it's all about us, right? It really is.
Yeah.
And if you would have seen, 30 minutes before that happened, everybody that turned their steaks in early on that first one, they were all right there around it. Whatever you need, help-wise, we're here to assemble, sauce them, plate them. Trash bag gets full, we're taking the trash away. It's a community effort that is led by a very kind person here.
And that's a good point too. So we developed the Raz Army. So it used to be that I would do my 12 hot dogs, and it grew into it's way bigger. And then Jeff Campbell, one of our coaches, called it the Army, and it's really kind of going back to the family thing, where I'm enjoying Justin's because a lot of the wives may show up. Teenagers may be there, somebody's doing ancillaries, and it gives them a fun purpose to be serving. So it's all about servitude. So everybody's going to jump in, and just that great 30, 45 minutes of just let's power this thing out, get it done, get back on your timeline, which I can't do anymore just because it's gotten so big without the Raz Army jumping in, and they're key to just that togetherness, and it's a fun thing for everybody that's helping out with it too.
It's one of the things I look forward to at a contest that you're at is a snack in between.
There you go.
I think Miss Elizabeth is saying that she can't believe she didn't get one. The Rasburgers. Stephanie said they were amazing. So I reckon I'll get Miss Elizabeth one next time.
Now, Stephanie West got the official first Raz Smash on the circuit. So just remember that, Justin. She's first on a lot of different things. Historically, she'll go down as the first Raz Smash, so she has to get that.
She deserves it for sure.
Yeah.
Raz also made a triple for Jody. What's his last name? Light, is that his last name?
Davis, Jody Davis.
Jody Davis, yeah. His son is very much a foodie like me, and he pounded down a triple slider, and he was like, yeah, man.
He was all about it. He's my poster guy now.
Yeah. Super fun.
Good stuff.
Now, one of the things you want to kind of bring up here also is your product that you've got. That's something you got that you've been working on.
So in the establishment of the hot dog, because we're cooks, we got to get things better. So when the Raz dog was building, it started off as the old pickle relish, and I had to basically do something else. So I created with Shauna Rapolo, who's my partner in crime, and she's down in Louisiana. That's where Sis is. I'm in Virginia. We kind of partnered together and created a pickle pico, which is a little bit unique, and it's got heat, it's got sweet, it's got crunch, and to me, I mean, we can do a whole hour on it if you want to. So we'll do this about 10:30, and people can hang up when they want. But we'll do a marathon. But the cool thing is it has. Again, I'm staying with my roots of Louisiana. It's got the Holy Trinity in there, so you don't normally get a relish that's got the crunch on there. So it'll go in things like meatloaf, and it goes into tacos, it goes into salmon. So Sean and I basically got it co-packed, and we did a suicidal thing, which you never launch a product in wintertime. That's a summertime product. And we launched it before the Worlds, and we sold out by the Worlds. So the pico went nationwide. We got our vendors, and we're done. We're out. So it kind of forced us to go to a bigger co-packer, and we're actually using a co-packer that does Cosmo stuff out of Texas, and will get us to that next level. Wow. So now when we put it out there, we're putting out 1,500 jars per shot, and we're also establishing other products, and that's with the Raz Smash, you have the sauce in there. So Sean and I will continue to develop products out there, and our goal, which is I think kind of cool, and is that our target audience, Jason, is not really just the KCBS people and the SCA people. We're targeting the backyard people. We want the folks that are going to the grocery stores to be able to buy these products, and that's our target as we've developed products, is to not just do a rub or barbecue sauce, but it'll be relishes, sauces, picos that are more unique. So probably my big focus this year is, now that I got the tickets, is for Sean and I really to work on our business, develop that, get the brand going, and just to continue to build our mini empire as we get older, that we got something out there. So
definitely is it's one of the things that you got to try it. It's something that it takes a lot of courage just go out there on the limb and just try something. And when you get something that you've got that's been successful, then you find out it's another thing you got to manage it. And then that's something you just kind of learn a lot of going into it. But you're able to take something that you enjoy and turn it into something other that's being successful. So I mean, I think that's just amazing.
Mark
when a hobby becomes a business, because you got to learn a business.
At the Worlds, how big was the container that you auctioned off?
The gallon container pico.
Gallon. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
350.
I think we got $350. Yes, we've actually auctioned the pico off a few times for charities and good causes.
Yep. And all of that money going to charity. and that's awesome in and of itself.
Now the stupid stunt, Jason, which I thought was fun, is that the Whirls. We did Raz Dogs last year, and then when I walked the stage, Brett kind of caught me off guard. He goes, "How many do you do next year?" I said, "I'll do 400." So we decided to cook 400 hot dogs because we're stupid. We had fun, and basically, I made up a number. I said we're going to cook 400 hot dogs in 15 minutes flat.
Jeez,
why not?
Hope you got a big ass bat.
So that was good stuff.
Man.
So again, so we formed an army, and the army was about 45 people. Mm-hmm. We had 6 cooks in the back, 6 PK grills, and we cooked 408 hot dogs in 14 minutes and 45 seconds because, darn it, we like challenges. And the coolest thing, and you were there, Justin, the coolest thing is after we cooked those hot dogs, I'm standing there with Jody. I said, dude, was this a stupid stunt? Are people actually going to come or not? All of a sudden, a wave of folks came in. And Shauna's managing in the front, and I'm out there. I didn't show one person how to put my hot dog together. They got it. Shauna's managing the front of the house. Again, I'm back of the house. She's front of the house. I'm true to when I was 19, right? I'm still a kitchen dude. And also, I looked at
it was 2 waves. We gave out. It seemed like 2 rivers coming together.
2 rivers came in the middle.
And then one from like the RV lot, and I was on the RV lot side, and I said, "Did you see all those people coming this way?" And it was just like.
And the cool thing is we didn't compromise the hot dog. I had 4 people putting the hot dog together. Everybody had one step in the hot dog. One step could have been taking the hot dog out of the pack. The next step was putting onions and one barbecue. The next step was putting a hot dog on there, and relish. The last step was putting mustard. So about 35 people did that. We gave out 408 hot dogs in 24 minutes flat. And dude, that was so much fun. But back to the environment, 45 of us went old school. We're in a world tournament, and we got a blast of just actually having fun serving people just like you would in a backyard. We just went a little bit grander scale.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of, we don't, but there's a lot of people do that at the American Royal too. Savory Farms put out their hot dogs, and Darren Worth was on the show last week. He does the pork tenderloin sandwiches, and that's just the whole thing about it is everything about this is just a big family.
It is.
Yep. Both sides of the thing, it's just a big, big family where we just get together and have a good time and get along. And I think we were talking about, Darren was talking about a little bit last time, is we just check our disagreement stuff at the door and we just have a good time.
Yep. Every walk of life that you can think of, and we're all shooting for the same thing. You know, we're all having fun, and we're all clapping for each other when we're walking to the stage.
I mean, it's a hobby that, as we get up to the upper level, I mean, it becomes even a business, right? So it's a business. You're getting kudos. People in barbecue will take the awards and open up barbecue joints. We're doing the same thing. We're getting into catering. So it really is a business and a hobby. But for me, and for I think a lot of the folks, and we kind of talked about it, is that on those weekends, as we work, we've all got daytime jobs, right? And we got hard daytime jobs. I'm not going to travel 4, 6, 8, 10 hours to be stressed out. We're rolling, Justin. I'm telling you, we're going to go 2 hours tonight, buddy.
Oh no, I was just looking. I'm a big baseball guy.
But we go all this distance, and it has to be fun. It has to be fellowship, because that's what we do. This is our relief, right? Even if it's stressful and we're in the zone, we're doing 1,000 things other like those ancillaries. We're still with fun people having a good time, and that's what we need to do when we have weekends. I never want to lose that feeling of not working, having fun, enjoying the person that's next to me, that next canopy.
Yep, me too.
To me, that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just the truth. We just want to go out there and enjoy the fellowship, because if it wasn't for the fellowship, and I've said this before, we say this from Cook's perspective, but we also need judges. We need organizers. We need volunteers. We need cook teams out there. We need people to come out there and support it. So there's all these moving parts of this. If one of those parts goes away, the whole thing collapses. And so when you come out there and be part of this, we're going to welcome you in there and be part of it. And we want you to just basically say, just enjoy the situation, enjoy the people there, and accept that everybody's not the same, and just have a good time with it. And you'll be amazed and if the whole country could go out there and just do barbecue competition like we're doing right now, it'd be a lot better place. What was a guy that passed away said, I don't think world peace, but barbecue's a start. What did he say? Anthony Bourdain said that.
Yep.
Bourdain.
I think barbecue is the first step to world peace or something along them lines.
Yep,
but it is a good point. That I say steak barbecue, but the steak's in the same thing, cooking outside. Because here's the thing about it, and we've done some catering job stuff here, and I got a guy come up to me and said, "Man, why do you do this? It's a lot of work." I said, "I deal with work. I deal with enough things at work that I got to be the bad guy, or I got to go out there and tell somebody what they don't want to hear, or give them a price something that's way too out of their budget, or whatever." He said, "I got to deal with that, and a lot of times they're not happy. Sometimes they are, but with food." You're going to eat food, you can come back to me and smile, and it's going to be the best thing you ever had because we're going to turn out good products. And that's what I love about food. So, I mean, and even the worst barbecue, I shouldn't say the worst, but even some of the barbecue that do contests right now and state contests the same way, that's like I said, it's 27th place state. It's still probably some of the best steak anybody's ever made.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It just causes
probably the best steak that guy cooked ever. He even told me he's a fireman, and he said, "Man, for the last 2 weeks, I've about killed my fellow guys at the firehouse because, man, I have cooked so many steaks, trying all kinds of different stuff." And he said, "If you ever want a food critic that's going to give you the truth about something, it's a fireman."
Yeah, they are that.
I was super proud of that guy, though. I got to remember his name. He called, left his number the other day, but.
That's awesome.
Super good. Because Jason, we don't have a lot of KCBS contests anymore where it cooks meat and they ask, "Is this your first time?" There ain't a lot of hands coming up.
In Tennessee there was 3, and that's the first time I've ever seen that many.
That is awesome.
But again, that's a little bit more out towards kind of getting away from the coast, got to look into the other side of the mountain or in the mountains and stuff. But
good.
You're right.
Real
These
good.
contests is getting hard to have a new guy show up.
Yep.
So,
but you want those people, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, Jason, you need them. You need them.
Yeah.
You got to keep feeding the fuel in there.
If you want to get into this, you come to Jason's trailer from 11:45 to 1:15 p.m. on a Saturday. He'll let you come in, watch everything. Just good.
I will.
Yeah.
I have no problem. You're in charge of watching Dolly while I'm there, so you got to keep her entertained.
That's a great dog, man. I'd do that.
Who's Dolly?
My dog. We do videos, Dolly, my yellow lab. And so she eats all the food we do videos. But this weekend, we cook her to awards because we don't usually do that, but it was right there. And so we took her to awards. We had to be hooked up and leave pretty quick. So Vivi was right there beside us. And Vivi was petting Dolly right before the awards started. I got through it. I said, "I reckon I have to take Dolly to the awards every time from now on." She said, "Yep, all the time." But it was good. So one shout out here to Swig and Pig, Vivi Andrew, the Massey's. They just went out there and just clean clock out there at the contest we done in Tennessee, Maryville. And also say that's a great contest. Mark done an amazing job. We had a good time with that. So shout out to them for doing that. We're able to, I think, finish 3rd ribs. Everything else was off, which was true. It was off. That's not their judge's fault. We had an off cook for that.
Everybody does it, man.
It is. Hey, if y'all not yet, do us a favor. Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Like us, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, follow us and stuff here, and share this with your friends and family. All this will be after the fact. You can watch some podcasts on YouTube and also on Facebook. But just share it with everybody because we've had Raz on here. He's got a perfect steak in the SCA, which is, like I said, very rare. And we had a lot of information in here. And if you can go through and kind of pull some pieces out of this here, you can learn a lot how to cook a steak. There'll be a lot of information out there to do it. But with all that being said, we're going to give a shout out to the sponsors we've got. And then we're going to ready to go to work tomorrow. Mr. Raz, give a shout out to your sponsors.
First one's my team, which is Team B Extreme, Trust in the Dust Babies. And again, we got perfect scores on flavor. Got a lot of walks this last week. Had 13 walks and 4 gold tickets and a perfect score. So it's definitely a good set of rubs. Love it. Been on the team now going on 3 years. And then for our sponsors, we have Kingsford Charcoal. We got Makeshift Gloves. We got Grill Grate, Gunter William Knives, Wicked Pig Marinade. And then Kelly's Mustard's our newest sponsor out there. So we got a pretty good list of sponsors.
That's awesome, man. That's congratulations with that. And congratulations to your perfect scores. Justin, give a shout out yours.
Yep, Dead Bird Barbecue, second year team DB 180, and State Princess Barbecue. Riley was real proud of Hollis and what was the other girl's name? Raz?
Liesel.
Liesel. Yep. So we had two Kids Q entries this weekend on Team State Princess, tied, and had to have a tiebreaker for first and second place. So shout out to Riley, and her mom actually got a golden ticket this weekend too at a contest. So you want to talk about a family that all competes and all joshes each other about who finishes what. It's probably some tough car rides home for them. And then Herb's Honey is our third year, sponsored by them, local honey company.
Yep, it's good people out there. And give a shout out to ours. We got Royal Oak Charcoal, we got Ret Tech, we got Peace Riles, we've got Atlanta Barbecue Store, and we got Snake River Farms. So I mean, it's great sponsors, great people. And without the sponsors, we couldn't do this. And I hope we got there and help them. So y'all check all that out. Links all this down below. Again, check out the new salsa you got coming out, or not the salsa, the pickled pico. Is that what you call it?
Pickled pico's out. Salsa's coming.
Yep, you got that coming out there. But again, we appreciate all y'all doing this, coming out here and watching the show. Appreciate you being on the show, Mr. Raz. Again, everybody, like, subscribe, share this with your friends and family, and let us know. We greatly appreciate that. We'll see y'all next Tuesday.
See you next week.